Fast16 malware has been linked to early cyber sabotage attempts in nuclear simulations, while a new Windows zero-day vulnerability allows privilege escalation even on patch systems. This is your cybersecurity briefing for May 18th, 2026. Coming up, we'll discuss how Fast16 malware is designed to corrupt uranium compression simulations, followed by the discovery of malicious NPM packages spreading infostealers and DDoS malware. We'll cover the critical Windows zero-day that poses a significant risk, and then look at major vendors releasing patches for serious vulnerabilities. Next, developer workstations are emerging as targets in software supply chain attacks. We'll share strategies to mitigate phishing risks before they escalate, followed by Interpol's Operation Ramz, which resulted in the arrest of 201 individuals in a MENA cybercrime crackdown. Finally, a weekly recap will highlight the Exchange zero-day, NPM worm, fake AI repository, Cisco exploit, and more. Let's start with the troubling implications of Fast16 malware in nuclear simulations. Fast16 malware has been confirmed as a sophisticated cyber sabotage tool specifically designed to manipulate nuclear weapons testing simulations. Recent analyses from Symantec and Carbon Black reveal that this malware targets uranium compression simulations integral to nuclear weapon design, marking it as a significant threat in the realm of cybersecurity. Fast16 operates with a unique hook engine that selectively engages with high-explosive simulations within software, like LSDYNA and Auditin. Researchers noted that the malware activates only when the material density exceeds 30 grams per cubic centimeter, a threshold only achievable under the shock compression of an implosion device, which is critical in nuclear weapon development. This precision indicates a high level of expertise among its creators, suggesting that they possess deep knowledge of both the software and the physical processes involved. The malware's design dates back to at least 2005, predating the infamous Stuxnet by 2 years, which is notable for being one of the first examples of cyber sabotage targeting physical infrastructure. Evidence points to Fast16 as part of a broader arsenal of tools leaked by the shadow brokers, a hacking group linked to the Equation Group, suspected to have ties to the U.S. National Security Agency. This connection raises questions about the extent of state-sponsored cyber operations and their implications for global security. Fast16 is particularly alarming not just for its capabilities, but also for its method of operation. It contains 101 rules that manipulate calculations in simulation software, categorized into groups that target various versions of LSDYNA and Auditin. This suggests a sustained and methodical effort to maintain its effectiveness over time, adapting as the software evolved. The malware also has a self-propagating mechanism, spreading to other devices on the same network, ensuring that any machine running the simulations produces tampered results. Vikram Thakur, a technical director at Symantec, emphasized the remarkable level of sophistication required to develop such malware in 2005, highlighting the specialized knowledge necessary to understand the intricate details of materials science and simulation software. This level of expertise indicates that the authors of Fast16 were not only advanced in their technical skills, but also had a strategic approach to cyber warfare long before it became mainstream. The implications of these findings are profound. They suggest that the use of malware for industrial sabotage is not a recent phenomenon, but has been part of a long-term strategy by nation-state actors. As the cybersecurity community continues to analyze this malware, it raises critical questions about the protective measures in place for sensitive simulations and the potential existence of modern iterations of Fast16 that could still be lurking undetected. As researchers delve deeper, the focus will likely shift to identifying and patching vulnerabilities in simulation software that could be exploited by such advanced threats. Switching gears, researchers have identified 4 malicious NPM packages that are spreading information-stealing malware and DDoS capabilities, raising alarms about supply chain vulnerabilities within the JavaScript ecosystem. The packages, which include choctempalt, at decode 09284814/axios Axois utils and color style utils are still available for download and have been linked to a single user account. Decode 09284814. The most alarming of these is CHOCTEMPOLT, which contains a direct clone of the Shy-Heeled Worm source code, recently leaked by Team PCP. According to Moshe Simon-Tov Bustan from OX Security, this suggests a troubling trend where threat actors are leveraging open source code to enhance their malware capabilities. The Shy-Heeled Worm is particularly notable for its sophistication, and the fact that it has been repackaged so quickly indicates a competitive environment amongst cybercriminals, especially in the wake of a supply chain attack competition that surfaced on breach forums. The analysis reveals that Axois utils is specifically designed to deploy a Golang-based DDoS botnet known as PhantomBot. This malware can launch floods against targeted websites using various protocols, including HTTP, TCP, and UDP. Notably, it establishes persistence on both Windows and Linux systems by adding its payload to the Windows startup folder and creating scheduled tasks, making a persistent threat. The other three packages focus on stealing sensitive information. The CHOCTEMPOLT package not only replicates the Shy-Heeled Worm, but also sends stolen credentials to a command and control server, while at decode 09284814/axios and color style utils siphon off SSH keys, environment variables, cloud credentials, and even cryptocurrency wallet data. The stolen data is sent to specified IP addresses and is also exported to a new public GitHub repository, cleverly named a mini SHA-1. Hewlett has appeared. This incident highlights a growing trend in supply chain attacks, where cybercriminals exploit the trust inherent in package managers like NPM. As the Shy-Heeled code becomes more accessible, researchers warn that we may be on the brink of a larger wave of such attacks. Users who have downloaded these packages are advised to uninstall them immediately, remove any malicious configuration from their development environments, rotate any compromised credentials, and monitor for any repositories associated with the suspicious naming. As the landscape of NPM packages continues to be exploited, developers and organizations need to ensure robust security practices are in place, including regular audits of dependencies and vigilant monitoring of network activity. Switching gears, a newly discovered Windows zero-day vulnerability, dubbed Mini Plasma, poses a significant risk by enabling privilege escalation on fully patched systems. This flaw, linked to the Windows Cloud Files Mini Filter driver, specifically targets a routine known as HTTPS block placeholder access. Originally reported to Microsoft by Google Project Zero researcher James Forshaw back in September 2020, this vulnerability was thought to have been mitigated in December 2020 under CV 2020-17103. However, security researcher Chaotic Eclipse has released a proof of concept demonstrating that the issue remains unaddressed. The researcher expressed uncertainty about whether Microsoft failed to patch the flaw entirely or if the fix was inadvertently rolled back, stating that the original proof of concept still functions without modifications. What's particularly concerning is that all Windows versions appear to be susceptible to this vulnerability. Chaotic Eclipse successfully weaponized the original proof of concept to spawn a system shell, which can grant attackers elevated privileges. While the success rate may vary due to the nature of the race condition involved, the potential for exploitation is significant. In a related note, security researcher Will Dorman confirmed that Mini Plasma operates reliably on Windows 11 systems with the latest May 2026 updates, although it does not seem to affect the latest Insider Preview Canary version. This incident is especially notable given that Microsoft recently addressed another privilege escalation flaw in the same component, CVE 2025-62221, which had a CVSS score of 7.8 and was reportedly being exploited by unknown threat actors. The recurrence of vulnerabilities in critical components raises questions about the robustness of Microsoft's patching processes and the overall security posture of its operating systems. For defenders, it's crucial to monitor for any indicators of compromise linked to this vulnerability and to stay updated on Microsoft's response. As of now, there's no confirmation on when a patch for Mini Plasma will be released, but the urgency for organizations to assess their systems cannot be overstated. Keep an eye on developments as this situation continues to evolve. Switching gears, major vendors have recently released patches addressing critical vulnerabilities that could be exploited by cybercriminals to bypass authentication and execute arbitrary code across various platforms. Leading the charge is Ivani, which disclosed a significant flaw in its extraction software, identified as CV 2026-8043, with a staggering CVSS score of 9.6. This vulnerability allows a remote, authenticated attacker to read sensitive files and write arbitrary HTML files to a web directory. Ivani warns that this could lead to information disclosure or client-side attacks, posing a serious risk for organizations relying on this tool for data extraction and reporting. Fortinet also issued advisories for two critical vulnerabilities affecting its FortiAuthenticator and FortiSandbox products. The first, CV 2026-44277, carries a CVSS score of 9.1 and involves improper access control that could allow unauthenticated attackers to execute unauthorized code through crafted requests. The second, CV 2026-26083, shares the same severity score and pertains to a missing authorization vulnerability within the FortiSandbox web interface, enabling similar unauthorized code execution via HTTP requests. Organizations using these products are strongly advised to update to the latest versions to mitigate these risks. In a notable move, SAP has rolled out fixes for two critical vulnerabilities in its S/4HANA and Commerce Cloud platforms. CV 2026-34260, also rated 9.6, is an SQL injection vulnerability that could allow attackers to inject malicious SQL statements, potentially compromising sensitive data. Meanwhile, CV 2026-34263, also with a CVSS score of 9.6, involves a missing authentication check that could permit unauthorized configuration uploads and code injections. This could lead to arbitrary server-side code execution, which poses a significant threat to the integrity of SAP environments. Broadcom has addressed a high-severity flaw in VMware Fusion, designated as CV 2026-41702, with a CVSS score of 7.8. This vulnerability allows local privilege escalation due to a TOC2, time of check, time of use, issue, which can be exploited by a malicious actor with non-administrative privileges to gain root access on systems running Fusion. Lastly, N8N has released patches for 5 critical vulnerabilities, all rated 9.4, that could enable remote code execution through various means, including prototype pollution and unvalidated parameters. These vulnerabilities highlight the importance of secure coding practices, especially in platforms that allow user-generated workflows. The release of these patches underscores the ongoing battle against cyber threats. Organizations must prioritize applying these updates to protect their systems from potential exploitation. As always, keeping software up to date is a fundamental step in maintaining cybersecurity hygiene. And with these vulnerabilities now disclosed, the window for potential attacks is open. Keep an eye on the patching timelines for these vendors, especially Ivani and Fortinet, as attackers often rush to exploit known vulnerabilities before organizations can defend against them. Switching gears, developer workstations are emerging as a critical target in software supply chain attacks. Recent campaigns have highlighted a worrying trend where attackers are not just trying to slip malicious code into trusted software, but are actively seeking to harvest sensitive credentials from developer environments and CI/CD pipelines. In just a 48-hour period, campaigns targeted NPM, PyPI, and Docker Hub, aiming to extract API keys, cloud credentials, SSH keys, and various tokens. This shift in focus to developer workstations represents a significant change in how we should think about software supply chain security. Traditionally, cybersecurity efforts have concentrated on protecting shared systems like source code repositories and CI/CD platforms. However, the reality is that the software delivery process begins long before code reaches a repository. It starts on the developer's machine, where code is written, dependencies are managed, and various credentials are utilized. The developer workstation is a treasure trove of sensitive information. It often contains local repositories, environment files, shell histories, and authentication tokens. When these elements are combined, they can provide attackers with a comprehensive map of the developer's access and the systems they can influence. For instance, in the recent Shahilad campaign, attackers exploited GitHub credentials that could grant admin access to repositories and CI workflows. The implications of these findings are profound. As developer machines become more integrated into the software supply chain, they should no longer be treated as ordinary endpoints. Instead, they must be viewed as critical components of the security architecture. This means security teams need to ask themselves crucial questions. Can they identify which credentials are usable from developer workstations? How can they limit the value and lifetime of those credentials? Moreover, the speed of modern attacks exacerbates the risk. Automated processes can quickly propagate malicious changes before human oversight can intervene. AI tools, while beneficial, can also inadvertently expose sensitive data, as they often inherit trust from the environments in which they operate. The need for a proactive approach is clear. Security measures must extend to the developer workstation, treating it as a local boundary of the software supply chain. By implementing robust controls and monitoring practices, organizations can minimize the risk of credential theft and ensure that their software delivery processes remain secure. As the threat landscape evolves, understanding and securing the developer environment will be vital for effective cybersecurity strategies moving forward. Switching gears, let's turn our attention to the persistent challenge of phishing and how organizations can proactively reduce the risks associated with these attacks. Recent insights reveal that phishing has evolved into a multifaceted threat, often leaving security operations centers, or SOCs, grappling with uncertainty after a single click. Phishing emails today can appear innocuous enough to slip past security filters, yet their impact can be devastating. When a user inadvertently clicks on a compromised link, the consequences can range from identity theft to unauthorized access to sensitive data and systems. This is particularly concerning given that stolen credentials can expose various platforms, including email and cloud services, while also undermining the effectiveness of multi-factor authentication. To combat this growing threat, early detection and rapid response are critical. One effective strategy involves leveraging interactive sandboxes, which allow security teams to safely analyze suspicious emails and links. By simulating the behavior of these phishing attempts, teams can uncover hidden risks that may not be immediately apparent. For instance, a recent investigation using any.run sandbox revealed a phishing campaign targeting U.S. organizations across sectors like education and healthcare. What initially seemed like a routine invitation email was actually a sophisticated trap designed to capture credentials and deliver remote management tools. Once a phishing attempt is validated through sandbox analysis, it's vital to contextualize the threat within the broader landscape. This means identifying whether the attack is isolated or part of a larger campaign. Advanced threat intelligence solutions can assist in mapping out related domains and patterns, enabling SOC teams to prioritize their responses based on the scale of the threat rather than reacting to individual alerts in isolation. Finally, integrating this intelligence into existing security infrastructure is essential for maintaining robust defenses. By utilizing behavior-based indicators of compromise across security tools, organizations can enhance their detection capabilities and reduce blind spots. This proactive approach not only allows teams to respond more effectively, but also helps prevent a single phishing incident from escalating into a larger security breach. The takeaway here is clear. The sooner organizations can detect and respond to phishing threats, the better they can protect their sensitive data and maintain operational integrity. As businesses continue to navigate this complex threat landscape, investing in early detection tools and threat intelligence will be crucial in staying one step ahead of cyber adversaries. As the clock ticks, the question remains: how prepared is your organization to tackle the next phishing threat? Switching gears, Interpol has announced a significant breakthrough in the fight against cybercrime with the conclusion of Operation Ramz, a coordinated effort that has resulted in the arrest of 201 individuals across the Middle East and North Africa. This operation, which spanned from October 2025 to February 2026, involved collaboration among 13 countries, aimed at dismantling malicious cyber infrastructure and mitigating the impact of cyber scams that have cost the region dearly. The operation primarily targeted phishing and malware threats, which have become rampant in the MENA region. Interpol reported that 3,867 victims were identified, and 53 servers were seized during this extensive crackdown. A notable highlight was the disruption of a phishing-as-a-service operation in Algeria, where authorities confiscated a server along with equipment containing phishing software. This suggests a growing trend where cybercriminals are increasingly professionalizing their operations, making it essential for law enforcement to adapt accordingly. In Morocco, authorities seized multiple devices containing banking data used for phishing, while in Oman, a legitimate server was discovered in a private residence, revealing critical security vulnerabilities and malware infection. Such findings underscore the breadth of cybercrime, as even unsuspecting individuals can become unwitting hosts for malicious activities. In Qatar, compromised devices were found without the owner's knowledge, indicating a level of sophistication in how these attacks are carried out, often without the victims being aware of the breach. The operation also shed light on the darker side of cybercrime, with Jordanian police uncovering a financial fraud scheme that exploited human trafficking victims. This aspect raises ethical concerns about the intersection of cybersecurity and human rights, as individuals are coerced into participating in scams under false pretenses. The arrest of 2 orchestrators in this case highlights the need for comprehensive approaches that address both cybercrime and the underlying social issues that enable such exploitation. Private sector involvement was also crucial, with companies like Group IB providing actionable intelligence on compromised accounts, including those linked to government infrastructure. This collaboration emphasizes the importance of a united front against cyber threats, as Joe Sander, CEO of Team Simru, noted that effective responses must be borderless. As law enforcement continues to ramp up efforts against cybercrime, the implications of Operation Ramz extend beyond the immediate arrests. It signals a growing recognition of the need for international cooperation in tackling cyber threats, particularly in regions where such crimes have proliferated. The operation serves as a reminder that the fight against cybercrime is not just about arresting individuals, but also about dismantling the networks that support these activities. With the recent successes in MENA, it will be interesting to see how law enforcement agencies globally adapt their strategies and what further actions will be taken against the infrastructures that facilitate cybercrime. Wrapping the briefing, we turn to a series of alarming incidents that underscore the persistent vulnerabilities in our digital infrastructure. First up, Microsoft has disclosed an on-premise vulnerability in Exchange Server, tracked as CV 2026-42897, which is currently under active exploitation. This flaw, with a CVSS score of 8.1, is categorized as a spoofing bug linked to a cross-site scripting issue. While the specific exploitation methods remain unclear, Microsoft has initiated a temporary mitigation through its Exchange Emergency Mitigation Service and is working on a permanent fix. The lack of detailed information about the threat actor or the scale of the attacks raises concerns about the potential impact on organizations still relying on these systems. In the realm of supply chain security, a malicious Hugging Face repository has surfaced, impersonating OpenAI's legitimate model to distribute Rust-based stealer malware. This incident highlights how AI model registries can become new vectors for software supply chain attacks. The impersonation was so convincing that the fake model climbed the platform's trending list, emphasizing the need for rigorous verification of model provenance and publisher identity to prevent similar incidents. Meanwhile, Cisco's Catalyst SD-WAN controller is facing threats from a sophisticated actor identified as UAT 8616, exploiting CV 2026-20182, an authentication bypass vulnerability. Cisco Talos noted that this actor has a history of using similar tactics to gain unauthorized access and establish persistence within networks. The SD-WAN controller's central role in trust relationships makes it an attractive target for attackers aiming to blend in and observe network activities without raising alarms. Additionally, Instructure, the company behind the Canvas learning management system, has reportedly reached a ransom agreement with the Shiny Hunters Group after a significant data breach. While the company claims to have received confirmation that the stolen data was destroyed, the risks of paying ransom remain significant, as there's no guarantee that data wasn't copied or misused. Finally, the emergence of stealer malware variants like Repo, which targets macOS users through deceptive means, highlights an unsettling trend where personal device vulnerabilities can lead to corporate infrastructure compromises. With 1 in 4 victims of such malware having access to sensitive corporate resources, the implications for enterprise security are profound. As we wrap up, the message is clear. Organizations must prioritize patching vulnerabilities, scrutinize dependencies, and maintain a proactive stance against evolving threats. The incidents we've discussed today serve as stark reminders of the complexities and risks inherent in our digital ecosystems. As Microsoft prepares to release patches for these vulnerabilities, the question remains: how well are organizations positioned to respond to these threats? Today's stories highlight the escalating threat landscape in cybersecurity, from early sabotage in nuclear simulations to significant vulnerabilities affecting major software vendors. Tomorrow, keep an eye on the upcoming patches from major vendors addressing critical vulnerabilities that were revealed today. For daily updates on cybersecurity developments, consider subscribing to InfoSec now. Stay safe out there.